Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, all participants of
Recording in
online
progress.
conference of Education Research International, we cordially invite you to be seated at the prescribed chair in the main hall, because in a few minutes the ceremony will be proceed in on time. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Respectable Rector of Universitas Bengkulu, Dr. Retno Agustina Eka Putri, SE, MSc. Respectable Deputy Dean of FKIP Universitas Bengkulu, Dr. Abdurrahman SSI, MSI, PhD. Respectable Head of Doctor Education Program Universitas Bengkulu, Dr. Sudarwan Danim. Respectable Head of Committee, Professor Dr. Benny MA. Respectable Dr. Sudarwan Danim. Honorable all the participants of online conference of Education Research International Batch 1 2022 held by Doctor Education Program Universitas Bengkulu. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Meidi Afrina. It's an awesome and precious chance for me to be your master of ceremony in this morning on Saturday, 22 of October 2022 in our big event, online conference of Education Research International. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to read out the schedule for this day. There are the first, singing the national anthem Indonesia Raya. The second, traditional dance. The third, the head of committee report. The fourth, the Dean Faculty of Education Universitas Bengkulu. The fifth, the rector of Universitas Bengkulu speech and officially open this conference. The sixth plenary session. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, before we start our agenda today, let's open our event today by praying with our belief and religion together. Prayers will be led by Mr. Surmana. Time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Marilah kita bersama-sama berdoa, mengangkat kedua tangan kita. Izinkan kami memimpinnya dengan doa secara muslim. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Hamdan syakirin, hamdan na'imin, hamdan yuafi ni'amahu wa yukafi mazidah. Alhamdulillah yanbaghi li jalali wajhikal karim wa azimi sultanik. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Allahumma ya Allah yang maha pengasih, yang maha menguasai segala-galanya. Berikanlah berkah-Mu kepada kami pada kegiatan kami pada pagi hari ini. Semoga apa yang kami laksanakan kegiatan pada pagi hari ini mendapat berkah dan ridho dari-Mu ya Allah. Rabbir firlana wali walidayya warhamhuma kama rabbayana sirara. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, singing the national for all the audience, please stand up. All the audiences, please have a seat. The next agenda is traditional dance. The name of traditional dance is Harbaden. Harbaden is for welcoming the tourists of local government and private. This Harbaden is performed by students of Poltekkes Kemenkus Bengkulu. Ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, step to the following agenda are speeches. The first is reporting Professor Dr. Badini MA as head of Committee Online Conference of Education Research International. Time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May peace and God's blessing be upon us all. Your Excellency, Director of Universitas Bengkulu, Dr. Retno Agustina Eka Putri, SI, MSc, the Dean of Universitas Bengkulu. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Universitas Bengkulu. The seminar entitled Online Conference of Education Research International, in short we can call OCERRI, a systematic effort to solve problem or answer question by collecting data. The seminar is an international conference that accommodates research and innovation in educational practices and various fields of study. For this reason, the seminar, which is held in concerning scholars, researchers around the world, discusses current issues in international education with the advancement of technology. Furthermore, the seminar is an effort to encourage people to be constructive and creative in facing global challenges, creating resilient and sustainable communities. Education sustainable development enable every human being to acquire knowledge, skill, attitude, values necessary to shape sustainable future. Education for sustainable development in development into teaching and learning. The is an annual international seminar organized by Doctor of Education Study Program IP Universitas Bengkulu, which new action and technology, the most international IT research. This is organized by lecturers and students education FK Universitas Bengkulu, working to Directorate General of Higher Education Technology and Research, Kufa University, Iraq, Beni Yusuf University, Egypt, Ohio University, United States, and State University of Gorontalo, Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of community of this conference, I would like to express the highest appreciation and gratitude to the key speakers. The first one, Professor Engineer Nizam MSc PhD, Director General of Higher Education Research and Technology. The second, Professor Dr. Sudanam Tanim, Universitas Bengkulu, Indonesia. The third, Associate Professor Ahmed G. Obeid, Kufa University, Iraq. The fourth, Dr. Ahmad Denisov University, Egypt. Fifth, Associate Professor Theodore Chow, The Ohio University, United States. The sixth, Professor Dr. Novianti Jafri, State University of Gorontalo, Indonesia. This conference is around 140 participants with orally presented lectures, researchers, teachers, and students from about 30 universities from 7 countries. The conference is aimed to discussing papers on the research finding related to curriculum and technological development, digital education, computer science and technology, material science, engineering, physics education, biology education, mathematical education, language education, and education counseling. It is expected that this conference yield recommendation of importance of key issue of sustainable development in teaching and learning. This conference will be far from a success, and we couldn't accomplish what we do without support from various parties. So let me extend my deepest gratitude and highest appreciation to all communities members. I would also like to thank each of the participants for attending our conference and bringing your expertise to our gathering. Should you find any inconfusion or shortcomings, please accept my sincere apologies. In conclusion, I hope that your discussion produce something useful and very pleasant in Bengkulu. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you all.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Badini MA. Ladies and gentlemen, now this is the high time for us to listen the speech from Rector Universitas Bengkulu. And afterward, we would like to request to Dr. Retno Agustina Eka Putri SAMSC to official open the online conference of Edu Result International 2022. Please, time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be upon you. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to welcome the online, all of the participants in the online conference of Education Research International with the theme of Education Research International and Technology Issues. The Honorable Dean of the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, the University of Bengkulu, in this occasion, Mr. Abdurrahman PhD as the Vice Dean of the Academic Affairs, and all of the Vice Dean who is available to coming to this event. The head of the study program, Prof. Sudarwan Danim, the head of the conference committee, Professor Badani and team. I would also like to welcome all the participants to the event. I would also like to thank and acknowledge the honorable speaker for today's conference. Please let me read the list. The first one is Professor Dr. Nizam, MSc PhD, the Director General of the Higher Education, Research and Technology, Associate Professor Theodora Chow from the University, the Ohio University State, Associate Professor Ahmed J. Obaid from Kufa University, Iraq, Dr. Ahmed A. Elgar from Beni Sueb, Egypt, Professor Leslie Harbon from the University Technology Sydney, Australia, and last but not least, Professor Dr. Sudarwan Danim. Under this current situation, changes in the globalized economy, society, culture, and online teaching, which is taken into place as a result of the pandemic, we need a lot of adjustment to the university culture, and a lot of things has to be met to fill in the changes in the global situation. Collaboration among institutions worldwide to maintain quality assurance and quality education has to be improved and strengthened. Ladies and gentlemen, during and after pandemic-19 disrupts many, not only in the health, economic, but also especially this time in education, we need to just all wonder what happened in the future of education system, how we should adjust, what impact, how to graduate, This is an area that is related highly to the international conference held today. Education, research, international, and technology issues. With this respect, we shall discuss what we done and how we do it better in the future, sharing ideas, practices among the participants. Finally, I ensure that the seminar will provide profitable and fruitful for everyone present here. And by saying the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful, open the conference. Thank
The official opened this conference by ringing the bell, accompanied by Vice Dean of FKIP, Education Study Program, and the Chief of Committee. Thank you, Dr. Retno Agustina Eka Putri, SAMSC, for officially opening this event. Ladies and gentlemen, the next agenda is plenary session and will be led by first moderator, Mr. Oki Leo Agusta. The floor is yours. But before the plenary session, we would like to photo before. Please, for Rector of Universitas Bengkulu. Iya. Ya kan? Ya. Kenapa Sam?
Yuk, yuk lagi, yuk lagi, yuk lagi, yuk lagi, yuk.
Ya kan? Ya, gelar bunda itu ngomong
Check. Oh, check. Check, check. Ay, di unmute.
Check, check.
Fine and good morning. My name is Oceri. I will be moderating in this live sessions, and this is the plenary sessions for the speakers and presenters. For the first keynote speaker is Mr. Theodore Chow from the Columbus University of Ohio, USA. And I would like to inform you that each participant today will have a total of 10 minutes for the presentation. And if our presentation completes the representation before the 20 minutes is up, there may be time for us for having question or Q&A sessions. So it means that I hope for all participants in this conference will focus on the presentation and hopefully will deliver some question for our discussion in this conference. Okay. Before we start, for the first presenter is Mr. Chow. I would like to read the curriculum vitae of the Mr. Chow is an associate professor of mathematics education in the Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio, and using video, voice, and narrative, his work focuses on mathematics education, storytelling, and organizing with children, teachers, and community to decolonize our education system. He has published in journals such as Mathematics Teachers Educator, Race, ethnicity, and education. An investigation in mathematics learning presented at the conference such as American Educational Research Associations, the Association of Mathematics Teachers Educator, and the European Association for Research in Learning and Instructions. Okay, Mr. Chow, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes. Is it clear?
Yeah, there's a little bit of an echo, but I think I
Okay.
can hear you fine. Yeah, there's a little bit of an echo, but I think I can hear you fine.
Okay, thank you. Okay, okay, fine. Now let's please welcome our first presenter, Mr. Chow, and the time is yours.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Theodore Chow. I'm a professor of mathematics education at the Ohio State University. And today, I'd like to talk to you about digital math storytelling. To use digital math storytelling in ways that I've really engaged students here in the United States. If you think about how they can tell math stories that come from their own environments, their own families, their own communities, particularly in the spaces that we're in after the pandemic, right? And learning how to engage students using technology, in a space in which we had to deal with a lot of schools remotely, and a lot of students being able to access schools and teachers and resources over the last 2 years.
to access schools and teachers and resources over the last 2 years.
So I can share you with you a little bit about what we mean by youth digital math stories. So this is the second grader, and she is thinking deeply about how to
and she is thinking
play
deeply
basketball
about
and the
how
mathematics
to
involved in the basketball that she plays in her
Play basketball.
So I share this video with you. And as you watch this, think about, somebody who's at this age, 7 years old, and she wants to do math involving playing basketball. And think about what it would be like as we watch this video together with peers and other classmates. So I'm also going to scribe some of the math that's here, and we can talk a little bit about what you see. So she wants to make 80% of her shots. So that was 0 out of 1 shots. Oh, that's 1. She made a shot. So that's 1 out of 2 shots she made. She made another one. That's 2 out of 3. Oh, she didn't make that one. So that's 2 out of 4 shots. That's 3 out of 5 shots she's made. That's 4 out of 6 shots that she's made. Oh, she missed that one. So that's still 4 out of 7 shots she's made. Oh, that's 4 out of 8 shots. Oh, she made that one. That's 5 out of 9 shots. 6 out of 10 shots. So she didn't make that one. That's 6 out of 11 shots. Oh, 7 out of 12 shots. She wants to make 8 shots total. Oh, she didn't make it. So that's 7 out of 13 shots. So as we think about what can our children tell us about the math they see in their everyday lives, right? This is a quick video that this 7-year-old made, and she just wanted to show herself shooting baskets, and she wanted to make 80% of the shots. But in this space, right now, we've figured out all these rational numbers that she was engaging with. And as a teacher, we can use artifacts like these to delve into some real good discussion about rational numbers, about percentages, and how we can even calculate what these things are. So what is digital mathematics storytelling? And what am I talking about here? Right? So if you're like me, when you work with children and you work with young people, you realize that, in this post-pandemic world after COVID-19, a lot of our students, when they want to find something, when they want to find out how to do something, when they want to find out more knowledge about something, they're not going to textbooks anymore. They're not going to teachers anymore. In fact, they're going to the internet and finding things on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram. In fact, many of us adults, we go to these places just to find, what information we need. And as opposed to thinking that these things are distractions or that these things are barriers to student learning, why don't we think about video storytelling as mechanisms to open up the rich breadth of mathematical thinking so that all children can engage in this thinking about math, about digital storytelling, about being digitally literate, but also showcase the rich mathematics they see in their own families, communities. So you just saw this little girl shooting baskets, the mathematics involved in that. And here's another video in which this another 7-year-old girl was lining up all the beads and showing how she would count the beads, but not just that, how she would arrange the beads to get braided into her hair and the mathematical patterns that she wants to see and the deep and rich counting that she wants to engage with in doing that. So why is storytelling important? Well, storytelling is basically how information is shared, right? Important knowledge is shared between generations, between parents and children, and then their children, right? It's how knowledge gets passed on again and again and again. And it also defines a community and a history and a shared knowledge base. And finally, particularly children who are marginalized, or children who come from marginalized communities, can tell counter stories. Counter storytelling allows students to engage with telling stories that push back on the way that they or their community or their people are positioned, right? Particularly students from ethnic groups or minority groups, or students from, in mathematics particularly, right? Female identifying students versus male identifying students, oftentimes are positioned as not having as much math knowledge. And so these stories can showcase that they actually hold a significant amount of knowledge. So this is an African-American student making a video about how she creates slime, how she is able to engage in a deep process of doing scientific experiments and inquiry in her own household and showing the knowledge she holds. So the thesis of my work here, the research that I've been engaging with, particularly on digital storytelling, is that when students craft stories about their out-of-school mathematical experiences, they position themselves in their communities as mathematical. For instance, here's a little boy who wanted to show how he throws and catches balls and how he can calculate a percentage. And he found that he caught 9 out of 10 throws, which meant that he had a completion rate of 90%, right? And connecting the things that he wants to do when he plays sports to mathematics, right, is something that they can showcase through a video story. So the framework that I'm engaging with when I do this work is based on 4 parts. Storytelling, which is the ancient originally culturally sustaining practice that defines a community history, right? Many of us come from cultures in which storytelling is deeply a part of how we come to know, how we know the stories of our community, how we know who we are, how we know what the traditions are, how we know the belief systems are, how we know religious artifacts, or how we know what our values are. And along with that comes this idea of community funds of knowledge, right? That many of us, all of us hold a significant amount of knowledge from our community. Oftentimes that knowledge is dismissed in schools, particularly in math. Mathematics traditionally is seen as just being able to memorize a certain number of facts or procedures, or being able to recall or do very quick calculations. When in fact, math is much more richer than that, right? Math involves problem solving and pattern recognition and the ability to recognize injustice around the world around you, right? And being able to statistically analyze that. And so we know that all of our children live incredibly rich mathematical lives, but their out-of-school family community math is often dismissed or is often not seen as valid. Okay? So what that connects then to the idea of math identity. How do we help children build positive math identity so that when they're dismissed in school, or when they do poorly on a test, or when they're not able to recall a math fact quickly, that doesn't make them feel that they're not good at math, right? Mathematic identities are often based on gender and racial stereotypes. They're often positioned, right, onto students. So in invoking storytelling and community funds of knowledge, we have an ability to allow children to see that they come from mathematical worlds, that their families and communities are rich mathematically, and therefore when they deal with mathematical failure, or when they deal with problems that they can't solve, that they have the perseverance to continue solving them, and they see themselves as mathematically important. And that leads to counter storytelling. The ability for telling stories that push back on the ways that we're often positioned. The ability to tell stories that grow our identity, that run counter to stereotypes, right? In a framework of critical race theory that lives in Latinx communities here in the United States, this idea of testimonials, this idea of stories that we constantly tell and retell and define our community, but oftentimes invoke ways in which we create ourselves as powerful people. Right? So this is a framework that I'm using to think about digital math storytelling. But I've talked a lot about this, right? What does this look like? What does this mean, right? So here's a quick digital math story called Earrings. It's a 7th grade Asian American student who details how she spends and potentially makes money from the buying and selling of earrings. So I'll play this right now. Oh, sorry, hold on. Let's try that again. Okay, so I hope that you got a sense as to what's going on in this video, right? And so there's a lot of rich math involved here in which a child talks about the earrings that they make, the ways that they think about buying the parts for the earrings and then selling the earrings, right? And then what happens. Now, so as we think about this, right, I want you to reflect on 3 questions. What did you notice or think about in this particular digital math story? How would you use a story like this in your own teaching, whether it's mathematics or not? And what are the community and family knowledge bases that you saw popping up in this video? And if you want to, you can go ahead and pop something in the chat here, right? Look at these questions. Do you have any reflections you'd like to share?
Is there anyone want to share about these questions?
So feel free to write something in the chat, right? Or to ask out. But if I just want you to think about this for a second, right? And then we can move on. But feel free to continue putting things in the chat if you have anything some reflection on how this digital storytelling can impact the way you're thinking about teaching and learning. So whenever we do this work, right, and when I've done this in research, what I find is there's an incredible amount of deep mathematical discussion that happens when children make these videos and share them with each other. So in the screening, so this is that child showcasing and sharing her video with other students. Here's actual questions that came up, right? So other students would ask things like, what is the range I can spend on each earring? So that's a deeply mathematical question about how much money they can spend. And this word range is a mathematical word about going from the smallest amount to the highest amount. Another student asks, how much can I spend for supplies, right? What's a reasonable rate to spend for supplies, right? Of buying what you can buy to make earrings. Another student asks, what is a reasonable rate for making earrings? So thinking not just about buying and selling the earrings, but what's a rate, if I want to get paid for making earrings, what's the cost of my labor? How much should I get paid for making these things and sharing them? Okay. Another student asks, how much can I sell the earrings for? And how much money will I make, right? So thinking about the arithmetic behind establishing profits, how much money you should sell them for, how much money you want to make, right? And thinking about the deep mathematical implications, right, of how to generate profit. And finally, should I sell them or give the earrings away, right? So thinking not just about making money, but also thinking about, does it make sense, right? So bringing into, taking it beyond just the idea of capitalism, of just beyond the idea of making money is, I'm making these earrings, they're a labor of my love. Should I give them away to somebody as a gift, as opposed to try to make money from them, right? And so think about all these questions that come about when children are invoked deeply on telling stories and making digital stories about the math they do and see in everyday life versus this traditional problem, right? So in a traditional math classroom, you might see a problem like Julia has $40 to spend on earring making supplies. She wants to make one earring a week. How much does each earring cost to make? And this is a great math problem. There's nothing wrong with this math problem, but it's relatively easy for students to look at this problem and solve it and then move on without delving into some of these deep, rich mathematical questions, right? That then allow them to see the math that is deeply a part of their life and their own community. So I want to share with you about the research that led to this, right? And how I went about doing this work. So I'm in the midst of, I'm in my 3rd year of a 5-year project delving into digital math storytelling. And what was fascinating was we started this project in the middle of the pandemic, right? So I did 2 week-long camps in the summer of 2021. Youth aged 12 to 17 were invited to camps, and they had to be fully vaccinated to adhere to university medical policy. That vaccination policy impacted the participant sample. It made it so that only children who had access to the vaccine And only children whose parents, right, put them forward to get the vaccine showed up to the camp. It meant that we had a lot more middle and upper class socioeconomic students. And we had a lot of white and Asian American students and not as many African American and Latinx students in our group. It was housed at a space called the Steam Factory, which is part of the university and part of Ohio State University. That is an collaborative open space for innovation that allowed students to sit around and do some really intense work together using whiteboards, having access to technology, and lots of snacks. And so we provided meals, snacks, and a lot of hand sanitizer, because this was 2021, a year ago, in which the pandemic was still ravaging most of the United States. I used a research methodology called participatory redesign, focusing heavily on understanding identity, right? So in this work, students don't just engage as participants, but also help design and define the digital math story framework itself, right? So asking students not just to participate, but also to help us think about what is important here. What is the research going to be about? Students made their own connections to their mathematics, their schools, their families, and their community knowledge. And participants were positioned as research partners, right? We saw every child as a partner with deep knowledge that could help us understand how to build this, as opposed to just research subjects that we interviewed, right? And understanding something as complex identity, I found is extremely difficult. I've been researching identity for about 20 years now, and I keep coming back to the idea that identity is narrative. Our identities come from the stories we tell. They come from the stories we tell ourselves. We tell about ourselves to other people. They come from the stories that other people tell about us. They come from the stories that we tell about who we want to be. And identity is constantly shifting, but narratives, the stories are not ways to study identity. Narrative is identity. There are ways in which we can create who we are and talk about them, right? So in order for us to really understand who a child is, right, or who a student is, particularly as connected to how they think about math, we have to hear the stories they tell about themselves as math. And so the research measures that I engaged with when doing this work, I did pre and post interviews. I analyzed the digital stories that they shared in the camps. I did a lot of reflective analysis as to what happened in the camp and also how they came about telling their stories. And then we did a number of follow-up interviews and reflections about 3 months later, after the camp was over. And again, we had 18 students. They were aged 12 to 17. The majority of them identified as coming from a community of color, particularly Asian American and Middle Eastern students here in the United States. We had a variety of schools represented in racial identities. And again, the participants had to show proof of COVID-19 vaccination, which meant that it was a very skewed sample, it's a very particular sample of students. And if I were going to do this again this year, I think I would have a much broader mix, because this is the way that vaccinations have happened and the politics behind who has access to a vaccine and who doesn't. And at the heart of this work is the idea of a story circle, in which students tell stories to each other. They refine them, they film them, they refine them, they share them again, they refine them. And what's nice about research is taking something conceptual, in which we figure out what this would look like, and actually turning this into something real, in which we have students sit around together and share stories in progress to forge a collaborative learning space in which they're participating and seeing the value of their culture and community, right? And the stories get richer and richer and richer with each time they tell them. And what's most important is screening the videos together, not just to each other, but also to family members and community members. So we're all sharing in that space. The discussions at the screenings were extremely deep. They went into deep issues of mathematics and identity. The students were sharing about the math that they saw in each other's stories automatically. It didn't require a teacher to ask them to find the math, right? And students often connected their stories to each other. They saw overlaps in the things they're sharing. What I found extremely interesting was that students often shared a safer story than the one they were working on. In the story circle, sometimes they shared some very vulnerable, some very personal stories about maybe a death in the family or something they dealt with, some traumatic event. But when they created the story to share in the group, maybe they might have talked about something a little bit safer and not delve deeper into their own emotions. And so the idea that we can share these deep stories with each other in small groups, but we want to share them publicly, we sometimes are a little bit more scared and more hesitant to share such personal information. And so what I found is that there's two things that came about in the sharing of these stories, right? Mathematics identity, where students talked about the math in their lives. They shared their frustration with finding really deep, rich math in their lives, but seeing it disconnected from the math that they do in school, right? So the math in my life has looked like this, the math I do in school looks like this, right? And that they loved actually doing math much more than making videos. Creating video content, right? For those of us who are YouTubers, who are TikTokers, making video is really hard, right? It looks easy, but it actually takes a lot of time versus solving a math problem and getting it right or figuring out if you got it right or wrong is actually much more simple, right? So students actually found that making math was much easier to just to do and finish, but making videos was much harder, much challenging. And it's what we found is students also, particularly if they love making videos, they really enjoy doing this camp. And they often dismiss the themes of the videos we asked them to make and just went about making their own videos. They wanted to just take it forward. And they, particularly with students from this generation, what I found really interesting was they were frustrated with storyboarding, sequencing, editing. They didn't want to edit and plan the videos. They wanted to just go about, taking their phone or taking their iPad and just going about making the video quickly and then editing it as they're going on, which I think is partial to the tools such as Instagram and TikTok that are available to students today. So another big finding is videos is really hard to make. One student gave up making the video. Other students felt stressed about making the final video. They all wish they had more time to make their final video. So what I found is making videos is tough, right? But that's my perception of it. Let me share with you what participants thought about this task. So here's the video again that we're watching. So this is just a quick video we made, right, to share out our results from this video.
Communities. The kids came in and from start to finish, crafting their digital stories, play team building games, and engage in collaborative problem solving. The games ended with a community screening, in which the kids proudly presented their stories to their peers and the families.
The idea that there are deep stories that connect to how we think about things. Yeah, and also this ability for us, the one that has stories to connect and talk to each other. And the world that we live in, making creative videos is so much easier than it was just 10 years ago. Making videos is a really important skill. It's easy for us to see the math. And the math doesn't have to just be numbers.
We have like a story circle where everyone went around and told a story. And I still remember the two stories that I told. The math storytelling camps let me explore math in a different aspect. It definitely let me use my creativity to form videos, and it also incorporate math into them, which I think is really creative. Math storytelling camps, it's definitely different. It's like not usually what you would see. So I feel like this definitely opens up, like I could tell people like math stories from a different perspective. Like I could talk about like roller coasters and have math in them. They'd be like, oh, how did you do that? Oh, I just like learned it from this camp. And I feel like that's really cool because it's just like expanding on almost like everything.
Because when I watched that you didn't mention numbers at all there, but I know it's mathematics, real mathematics and combinatory maybe. Yeah, I think.
Okay, well, that is a little bit about my work on digital video storytelling. I appreciate your patience with my audio and the video, and thank you very much for having me here. Okay, well, that is a little bit about my work on digital video storytelling. I appreciate your patience with the audio and the video, and thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chow. And here we have a question here from Ratna Butar Butar. from Universitas Negeri Malang. Okay. Thank you very much for Mr. Chow for excellent presentation. And here we have a question from our participants from Ratna Bupat. Um, Here, the question is talking about cognitive and language skills from the digital storytelling here. And how can it be applied to the passive or introvert students, Mr.
I'm looking at this question. I think so the work that I've been doing is always focusing on students who've been marginalized somewhat in mathematics, right? So, I think that often labeling a student as passive or introverted or not doing well in math or having mathematical struggle. I mean, there are students who struggle in mathematics and there are students who don't see learning as something they want to do, right? But oftentimes it has less to do with them and more to do with the systems that they're in, right? Particularly for math, right? Many of us have been in math education programs that are less about learning and more about testing and more about sorting us to see whether or not we're good enough to do math, as opposed to actually helping us learn to love math and learn to see the mathematics in our worlds, right? And so the work that I've been focused on in using digital storytelling to connect to math, oftentimes is actually best for the students who see themselves as having a low mathematics identity, or have seen themselves not being engaged in math because math is just seen as this magic thing or involving memorization, and they're not good at it, right? But being able to connect to their stories, connect to themselves, think about a new and different way, right, to approach math and to be successful in school has been really fun.
Thank you. We can conclude that, Mr. Chow, from this tactic of digital storytelling means that everybody can share about their knowledge, especially from the relation of the daily life, yes, in the activity or maybe in the interactions or communication in their family, and it can be something to invite their perceptions about the mathematics in their life. So I think it can be very helpful for the student that passive or introvert students to share about their perception because they have the background knowledge from their relation directly from their life like that. Is it right?
Yeah, I think
Okay,
so.
thank you, Mr. Chow.
Yeah, there's a little
Yeah,
bit of
I
audio.
think so.
I think you're right.
A little
Yeah.
bit audio. You're right.
Yeah. No, I appreciate your comment. I think you're getting to some exactly what I'm doing. Thank you.
I think some
Exactly what I'm doing. Thank you.
for the participant, is there anyone who asking the question?
Okay. Thank you for the presentation of Mr. Theodore Chow. I'm so interested with your presentation about the digital math storytelling. So, how to counter the storytelling in math so that the student will understand with the mathematic concept. And maybe you can explain to us how about the result of the student learning? Is it increase or decrease? Thank you.
That's, I appreciate the question. So what I hear you asking is about student learning, right? And whether or not the student mathematical learning increases, right? And to be honest, you know, I've done a lot of work where we look at increase in math scores and whether or not students are learning better math or doing better in math through interventions. And I found that I don't really care anymore, right? To be able to increase a student's ability to learn math quickly through one intervention is oftentimes a trick. It's oftentimes involves an intervention that's focused highly on one specific skill that we can test and then we see that there's small gains in that, and we can say that that was a successful intervention. But in reality, what did we really do? Did we really help students gain insight into mathematical thinking? Did we help them develop deep, positive mathematics identities? Did we help them think of themselves as problem solvers? Or did we just give them skills so that they can do better on a test that oftentimes is just looking at very, very surface level quick skills? And so in this project, I'm not focusing on looking at immediate student learning gains. What I am looking at is students' ability to express and show that, yes, I am actually more excited to learn math now. Yes, I actually see myself more as a mathematician. And yes, I actually see that my own community and my own family knowledge of who's in my family, what my community is, are deeply mathematical. So I see myself as a more mathematical person. And that's what I'm more focused on. And that's what the findings have shown. And that's what I'm more focused on. That's what the findings have shown.
Thank you, Mr. Chow. And the next question is from Mr. Ramadan. Ada.
Okay, thank you. Apa nih? Baling. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chow. From your finding research, we can see. Sorry. We can compare mathematical identity and storyteller identity. The first, the students talk about the math and their lives. And second, the students share frustration with disconnect between math and stories and school math. And the third, students love doing math more than making videos. Next, students who love making videos love the cam, and the students often dismiss the term math even better videos. And the last, the student proceed with storyboarding, sequencing, and editing. My questions, should the teacher collaborate or integrate uh, from mathematical identity and storyteller identity? And the second, the teacher have to prepare teach in the classroom. So okay, I think two questions.
I have asked you first, should the teacher collaborate or integrate with your finding, your research? And second, should the teacher prepare when collaborate in teaching? Thank you, Mr. Chow. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Prepare when collaborate in teaching. Thank you, Mr. Chow. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you. I think I'm not sure I fully understand the question. There's a little bit of an echo, so I heard it twice. But I think what I hear is, how can teachers? I think I'm not sure I fully understand the question. There's a little bit of an echo. I heard it twice.
Yes. Okay, maybe I would like to.
How can teachers collaborate for the work in the classroom? So,
Shall the first is about the finding of the research. The second one, should the teacher collaborate with activities?
I'm sorry, for some reason that the audio keeps going in and out, so I can't fully hear the question. I'm sorry, for some reason that the audio keeps going in and out, so I can't fully I think what I can do is answer at least the second part of the question, which is about teachers. So I'm in the middle of a 5-year study. And the first part was doing this in community centers. What I can do is answer at least the second part of the question, which is about teachers. So originally I was going to do this work in the middle of a 5-year study. But then and the first part was doing this in community centers. And it was impossible to do any work in schools here in the United States. Originally, I was going to do this work on doing work in the United States. But then the COVID-19 pandemic. And next year, it was impossible to do any work while I was here in the United States. And so I found out how teachers can doing work in the United States. I'm sorry, what I found work in my hunch is, and next year, I'll be working with teachers doing visual storytelling in the classroom. I'll know better how teachers can do this. What I found in my hunch is using stories is hard. Doing and making videos is different. It's an incredibly important skill for all of our in terms of being able to connect their mathematical knowledge to what they have to learn in school. Now, I don't think that teachers need to do any more work, but I think that there's a lot of struggles that teachers have, right? Here in the United States, teachers oftentimes have to do a lot of work to engage and make students feel that math is something they want to do. Many students in the United States don't like to do math because math is something that they have to do and not something that seems fun to do. So my hope is that by engaging in this work, that students will become more engaged in doing math and therefore make things actually easier for the teacher to do, right? And easier to connect not just to particular math skills or math content that seems too abstract or too unremoved from students' lives, but that they can see that this math is rich enough that they want to willingly engage with it. Oh, thank you. So I'm not sure I really understand this next question. How to overcome obstacles in international research? Can you say more? What obstacles are you speaking about? And when we talk about international research, what do you mean? Oh, so to do research between the United States and other countries. So I'm not sure I understand what obstacles specifically we're speaking of. I mean, one of the main obstacles of doing work in multiple countries is just, the obstacles of doing any international collaboration is, just going from one space to another, right? Being able to travel from one place to another to do work, right? And the sort of different cultures that are involved. I think for many people who engage in work in the outside the United States and then come to do work in the United States, they find that it's actually pretty difficult. In the United States, we don't have a centralized Ministry of Education, right? In the United States, we have 50 states. So every state has its own Department of Education. And then every state is divided into multiple school districts. And every district is allowed to choose its own curriculum, its own textbooks, and even have its own values of what it means to do and involve education. So, in other countries I've worked with, sometimes there is one national curriculum and maybe one or two or three different textbooks that are the ones used for all the math learning. And so that can make it a little bit easier, right, to study, to do large-scale interventions, to unpack what students are learning, and to give pre and post tests because it's connected directly with the standard, right? One particular curriculum. Here in the United States, there's many curriculums. There's many textbooks. There's many school districts and many states. And so it's difficult to do work that's connected to an official curriculum, but it's much easier to do work that's connected to children's thinking and perceptions of mathematics, right? And so it's difficult to do work that's connected to an official curriculum, but it's much easier to do work that's connected to children's thinking and perceptions of mathematics.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chow, for your excellent explanation from our questions. And is there anyone want to ask a question, Mr. Chow? Okay, enough. Okay. Before we close this first session for our guest speakers, that I would like to conclude this digital mathematics storytelling is very important for us, especially for teachers to enhance the students' ability in perceptions on delivering the perception of the mathematics in their life, and hopefully it will help the student have ability to connecting the mathematics related to their life. Okay, thank you very much for Mr. Chow.
I'm sorry, I'm still having trouble hearing you. Can you repeat the question?
Hello? Okay. Okay, thank you very much for Mr. Chow. There is no questions again from the participants, and thank you for your excellent presentations, and see you in the next agenda. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being here. Thank you for this amazing conference.
See you in
Thank you. Thank you for Mr. Okilo Augusta has led the first session. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen.
Tes, tes. Tes.
Coba ulangi. Kok saya ngomong? Halo?
Tes. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Tes. Oke, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back for the second session of the Oceri. This is the online conference of Educational Research International Batch 1, 2022. Also represented by Doctor of Education Study Program, Bengkulu University. Okay, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Fitri Masito. You can call me Fitri. I'm student of Doctoral of Education Study Program, batch 7, and I'm to be the moderator today. So in 6 months after pandemic COVID, and I believe that every country is struggling to cope with it. And my university, as one of the big university in Indonesia, and with a positive contribution for that through this conference. And that we have two speakers already with us in the second session today. We have Mrs. Professor Dr. Novianti Jafri and Professor Dr. Sudarwan Dani. And I'd like to greet Professor Dr. Novianti Jafri first. Hello, Prof.
Hello.
Yes, all right. Thank you, Prof.
you.
And the next is Professor Dr. Sudarwanda Nim. Are you with me? Okay. All right, I will read the rules in the session. Each presenter today will have a total of 20 minutes for their presentation. If one of our presenters completes their presentation before their 20 minutes is up, there may be the time for a question from attendees. And then, however, we will hold most questions until the end of the session, and I will then read question out loud for the presenters to answer as time permits. And for your information, our audience today are faculties, teachers, and students also, so quite various background. And all the audience can ask the question. If you have a question, you can ask by raising your hand or you can type in the chat box. And I'm going to read them for you. Okay, and we can go to the first speaker. All right, I'm going to invite Mrs. Professor Dr. Novianti Jafri, and I'm going to read your profile first.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Greetings, dear my Mrs. Chancellor and his staff and head of the study program and secretaries of doctoral education at Bengkulu University, as well as international seminar participants. Thank you, moderator. As for the title of my material is Education Digitalization. Would you help me to share the PowerPoint, moderator?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Is it right, Professor?
Okay.
Okay, please, this time is yours.
This century is a century that can be marked by rapid technological advance. Without realizing it, the generation have merged into the modern era. In that era, LDs can be accessed without knowing the limitations of space and time. It is only enough they hold a smartphone and provide internet access. You will immediately know the latest conditions and information throughout the country without waiting for years. Progress like this makes the assumption that everything that is impossible will become possible and is commonly used by individuals. Thus, that material discussion the importance of digitalizing education and its places and needs. And then one of the leading figures named Alvin Toffler from America asserted that the era of humanity actuality consists of three phases. First phase of an agrarian society, and then the second phase of the industrial society, and the third phase of the information society.
If adjust to current conditions, today has entered the third phase, namely information society. The information society phase is where this is an exchange and use of communication technology with high duration and intensity. Simply put, the information has become a core part of human needs. As a term which states that information is the key to life for the continuity of life in all fields, education, politics, law, social, and business. The phase of the information society is also equated with the modern era for communication. Experts in the world indirectly, this phenomena will make people achieve and begin to open up to a number of development in media and communication technology global. In fact, technology is supporting aspect that can be taken into account to be able to support the process of expanding information networks, education, economy, and business. It should be understood that the technology that already exists now, of course, cannot be damaged. So inevitable, all aspects of life must be able to adapt and respond well. One of them is the education side or the process of digital education. This process is certainly related to aspects of digital literacy. According to its meaning, is the process of changing something into digital on can be defined as a series of digital process where there are stages of taking physical object and analog process into digital form. Meanwhile, digital literacy is the ability in aspects of individual knowledge and skills in the use of digital media, internet, networks, and communication tools in the process of finding information and then evaluating it. The phenomena of digital of education is considered a form of gratitude because the existence of this technology facilitates various job, especially of teacher, but education and student. An example of positive digitalization of education is the implementation of learning policy, e-learning, online, virtual, PGG, that carry the concept of using technology as a form of maintaining health. Daring ya, a pandemic technology is have the convince of feeling out. Assessment and providing additional support for students learning because everything can be run online. The factor that make the phenomena of education, digital education occur era, once more limited space. The first factor that digital of education is the limited availability of space. With technology, education no longer regular last place to start a form. It's enough to show your face as text is the assembly, then we can already feel the atmosphere of learning together. In education, the digital of education is also a very powerful solution for some schools that do not have much space to store their archives. Archives can be created and upload to digital media for easy strong. In addition, this concept also allows institution to reduce the budget for carrying out development because the required funds are allocated enough for maintenance for the online system that is being used. Second, in credit knowledge nets, the phenomena of digital increasing along with the growing needs of students for accessing information. In the past, teacher and student hand to all thousands of kilos and could even only get one material. So that a school can become a place for scientists and confirmation that way student can learn more optimally than just using technology for usual things. Weakness of education digital, and now there are several benefits that can be taken for the digitalization of education. There are still weaknesses that you must understand in order to avoid them. The first, it makes a student enjoy instant things more than doing hard work. Today, there are many facts that Generation Z and baby boomers are prone to living down and are even more active in using technology for useless things. Second, the digitalization of education makes generation to be trend followers rather than pioneers of change. Today, more often seen the fact that the generation likes to follow the trend without knowing the basic essence. In fact, it is important for generation to always review the essentials so that everything that is done next can run optimally. Ideally, they become pioneers for the progress of the nation. Technology should be the more creative and increase innovation than just limitation. Third, the digital of education causes the generation to be unwise in filtering information. This is very important to understand because if not, then advanced technology is useless, but the generation is on the verge of collapse. For the fourth, digital of education cause generation to adopt various. It can be then denied if technology makes generation. It must be directed into the flow of globalization. One of them, this is foreign, is the activities of promiscuity and other immoral activity. That seems to be a fertility activity science, the introduction of technology. In fact, it has been introduction through the film industry, and there are many other industries. 5T, the digital of education is an open space for accessible which and even with time, especially if it is related to Shara. This debate often seems to be a trend, and some are blaming each other. That's about the digital of education between the plus and minus, or between the positive and negative. Thank you very much. Aduh Allah. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Professor Novianti Jeffrey, for your excellent presentation. We get new insight from your presentation. Thank you very much. Okay, for all the participants, is there any question for Mrs. Professor Novianti Jeffrey? You can raising your hand in the online Zoom, or you can type in the chat box, please. Okay, please, Mr. or Mrs. Armisola, any question for Professor Novi?
Ya, halo. Baik.
Oh, Mrs. Armisola, yes, please. What is your question for Professor Novi?
Thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay. I'm so sorry for being late to join this webinar. Please, Ma'am Novianti, Mrs. Novianti, would you like to tell us your presentation on your own languages, because it seems that you are just reading. I don't understand it. So please explain it to us briefly. Only that one. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Okay, Professor Novi, please answer.
Ya, yang mana yang minta dijelaskan ya dalam bahasa Indonesia ya?
Your presentation, ma'am, because you just read.
Baik, presentasi saya ini adalah tentang digitalisasi pendidikan, di mana dalam abad ini merupakan abad yang bisa ditandai dengan pesatnya kemajuan teknologi, yang kita tanpa sadari bahwa para generasi untuk sekarang ini telah melebur pada era modern ini untuk hal-hal yang berhubungan dengan digital, tanpa batas, tanpa ruang, dan tanpa waktu. Jadi mengenai smartphone ataupun digital ini menyediakan akses internet, maka akan segera mengetahui kondisi dan informasi kita yang new, terbaru di seluruh negeri tanpa menunggu bertahun-tahun. Untuk kemajuan-kemajuan ini, maka kita terus mendapatkan informasi yang setiap detik, yang tanpa mustahil bahwa ini terus ada dan lumrah yang dimanfaatkan oleh individu. Dan hal ini sangat penting bagi kita sebagai pendidik, bahwa pentingnya digitalisasi pendidikan serta bagaimana plus minusnya ataupun positif negatifnya. Maka dalam hal ini kita diperhadapkan dengan ada beberapa pendapat dari tokoh yakni Alvin Toffler dari Amerika yang menegaskan bahwa ada 3 fase tentang bagaimana kita diperhadapkan pada yang namanya digital pendidikan. Yang pertama bahwa kita adalah yang pertama menjadi masyarakat agraris, kemudian kedua sebagai masyarakat industri, dan ketiga sebagai masyarakat informasi. Maka kita sekarang berada pada fase ketiga yaitu masyarakat informasi. Masyarakat informasi ini menjadi hal yang sangat penting bahwa kita dalam hal ini menjadi pengguna teknologi komunikasi dengan durasi dan intensitas yang tinggi. Dan pada saat ini juga disederhanakan bahwa dengan adanya informasi digital ini, kita menjadi bagian inti pemain sebagai human di dalamnya manusia. Nah, dalam istilah ini dia menyebutkan bahwa informasi merupakan kunci kehidupan dari berlangsungnya kehidupan di semua bidang pendidikan, politik, hukum, sosial maupun bisnis. Jadi informasi ini digunakan oleh semua bidang, terutama juga pendidikan. Karena dengan pendidikan ini kita harus banyak memberikan hal-hal berhubungan dengan edukasi dalam suguhan digitalisasi ini. Untuk hal-hal ini dalam pendidikan perlu butuh proses yang sangat penting yang harus kita rangkaikan pada hal-hal untuk yang namanya pengambilan keputusan ataupun pemanfaatan dari digital itu. Makanya sekarang namanya digital literasi. Jadi kemampuan pada aspek pengetahuan dan kecakapan individu untuk penggunaan media digital dalam jaringan internet maupun alat komunikasi pada proses hal-hal penemuan ataupun penggunaan informasi dan hal aktivitas juga evaluasi dalam sistem informasi digital. Fenomena digital ini penting dalam pendidikan karena ini menyangkut tentang berhubungan dengan bagaimana aktivitas pendidik itu sendiri terhadap peserta didik. Makanya digital pendidikan itu positifnya kalau dulu kita menggunakannya sistem daring pada hal-hal ataupun situasi COVID. Dan yang sekarang adalah kita lebih menggunakan pada yang namanya efisiensi dan efektivitas untuk kelangsungan waktu dan juga kebutuhan akan kemanfaatannya. Untuk itu, dalam proses digital ini, untuk kebutuhan ilmu pendidikan, maka digital menjadi hal yang sangat
I'm so
penting dan perlu
sorry.
dikembangkan.
Excuse me.
Oke.
Ibu, please. Apa sih yang dimau dari? I'm so sorry. Apa sih yang dimau dari penjelasan Ibu? It seems to me that you just translated. Ibu jelaskan ulang dalam bahasa Indonesia. Yang saya ingin tangkap itu apa sih yang penting?
Yang penting, baik. Yang penting itu adalah bagaimana kita harus memanfaatkan digital itu dalam konsep pendidikan untuk pembelajaran positif dan negatifnya kepada peserta didik kita. Karena itu sangat penting bahwa bagaimana kita bisa mengarahkan juga bagaimana siswa untuk bisa kita terapkan dan juga bagaimana kita untuk bisa memberikan pemahaman-pemahaman kepada pendidik tentang penggunaan literasi. Karena kita kalau perguruan tinggi itu sebagai pengguna kita adalah bagaimana kita menghasilkan lulusan, misalnya guru-guru yang mampu untuk mentransformasi keilmuan kepada peserta didik. Jadi seperti itu. Baik, terima kasih.
Itu konsep.
Iya, konsep. Saya bukan riset. Konsep.
Oke, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for Professor Novianti. And I think the conclusion for your presentation is the importance of digitalization of education into this era. There are 3 phases, and one of them is information society. Information is one important factor for all fields of our life, especially in the field of education, right, Professor? Okay, thank you very much, Professor, and thank you very much for the question. And next, we continue to the next presentation from Professor Sudarwan Danim. Thank you very much, Mrs. Professor Novianti Japri.
Izin live ya, sekalian saya pergi ke acara dulu.
Terima kasih, Profesor.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Panjang. Enggak panjang itu, pendek. Pendek. Oh, panjang.
Pokoknya kan ada lagi gang berbaris sabuting.
Saya share dulu ya, udah ganti. Buka dulu ya. Oke, maksudnya oke. Udah oke, udah oke, ya.
Okay, all right. And we move to Professor Sudarwandani. Professor, are you with me? Okay, before your presentation, I'd like to read your profile first. Professor Dr. Sudarwandani is a professor of Bengkulu University. He was born in Tebatuan, South Bengkulu on February 1959. He's completed the doctoral program in educational management in 1998 with laud predicate. Hundreds of articles have been written by him in national mass media, national journals, and international journals. Almost the purpose of teaching any course he developed into a book, so no doubt he is an expert. Some of the books that he has written and published nationally include Human Resources Transformation, Educational Communication Media, Research for Behavioral Sciences, and many more. Professor Sudarwandani, you had 20 minutes to present on your work. So now time is yours. Please.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Profesor Nizam, Director General of Higher Education, the Honorable Theodore Chow, Ohio State University, Honorable Professor Ahmed J. Obaid, Kofa University, Egypt, the Honorable Ahmed Elknar, Chef University, the Honorable Professor Novianti, State University of Gorontalo, all participants. I will present a paper entitled "From Pedagogy to Become Friendly Online Learning." The material shown in the slide is in English, while oral presentation partially in Bahasa Indonesia. Pandemi COVID-19 ini bring up tremendous panic among educational institution leader, teacher, lecturer, student, and wider community. When the COVID-19 hit, there was wide lockdown. It is caused the fearing, anxiety, and panicking for all the people in the world. Pandemi COVID-19 ini mengoreksi tradisi pembelajaran selama ini, dan itu berefek pada pemberdayaan sumber-sumber, facilities, and accessible constraint, causing panic panicogy. Panicogy ini basically combine of the word panic and pedagogy. Pedagogy is commonly understood as the method of practice in teaching, while panic sudden, uncontrollable, fear, anxiety. Jadi panikogi ini semacam atmosfer yang menimbulkan rasa takut, anxiety, dan panik. Dan kondisi ini tidak pernah terjadi sebelumnya. Tapi di balik panikogi itu raise awareness. There is no single model learning that will last permanently learning. Jadi pembelajaran yang selama ini diagungkan, yang selama ini kementerian itu menganggap online learning itu hanya kewenangan UT, terkoreksi dan mengubah ke arah online learning secara massal. Dan itu berefek hingga sampai ke ruang kelas. Karena itu maka kebijakan pemerintah pemerintah yang selama ini memilah atau menseparasi antara online learning pada satu sisi atau face to face classroom pada sisi lain, itu menjadi sebuah revolusi baru dalam kerangka pembelajaran. Dan ini sungguh pun secara regulatif aturan lama masih berlaku, tapi aturan sekarang suka atau tidak suka itu dijalankan oleh banyak perguruan tinggi, dan itu membawa perubahan dalam skala luas sebagai mode pembelajaran. Karena itu maka pasca COVID, ya, learning system in the college and school will be never return, ya, exactly what before this pandemic. Jadi pembelajaran setelah pandemik tidak akan pernah lagi terjadi persis sebelum era pandemik, karena suasana sudah berubah. Karena itu maka pandemik ini membawa revolusi terbesar sepanjang sejarah proses pendidikan dan pembelajaran. Tidak hanya di Indonesia, tapi juga di seluruh dunia. Nah, ketika kita memasuki era sekarang, maka face to face, online atau hybrid itu akan menjadi mode yang interchangeable, yang bisa dipertukarkan dan sah dilaksanakan. Sungguh pun praktek-praktek semacam ini sudah sangat lama dilakukan di banyak negara. Di kita dulu ada batas jarak kilometer untuk bisa mendapatkan izin studi, terutama guru, para dosen, dan sejenisnya. Tapi di negara-negara Eropa yang jaraknya ribuan kilometer, ijazah orang Indonesia yang studi itu diterima secara sah. Oleh karena itu maka praktek-praktek pembelajaran online ini menjadi isu yang tidak bisa dihindari oleh siapapun karena ini adalah realitas sejarah. Kalau pemerintah masih memaksakan memilah distance learning pada satu sisi, face-to-face learning pada sisi lain, maka praktek-praktek semacam itu bertentangan dengan realitas alam. Karena itu terutama di S3 kita menoleransi kawan-kawan yang mau face-to-face, mau online learning, atau mau hybrid learning. Bapak dan Ibu, semua orang setuju sekarang ini era digital. Tapi izinkan saya mengungkapkan riset dari Instagram. Instagram ini sebuah non-government organization in Europe, NGO di Eropa. Dia mengkaji secara meta-analisis 54 penelitian dengan menggunakan 17.000 sampel dari 19 negara yang berbeda. Dia sampai pada simpulan bahwa penggunaan bahan ajar digital paling tidak untuk sementara membahayakan. Karena berefek buruk pada proses pembelajaran. Dikatakan bahwa promoting reading on digital device itu simulated decline in student learning outcome. Jadi membuat decline, membuat penurunan, membuat reduksi prestasi belajar. Pembelajar itu lebih superior, ya, dalam cognitive performance with printed text. Jadi penggunaan teks yang dicetak itu membuat anak-anak lebih superior. Gitu. Tidak hanya itu, tapi juga akuisisi vocabulary dan memori. Jadi akuisisi kosakata dan memori itu menggunakan bahan ajar tertulis dalam bentuk print out itu jauh lebih hebat dibandingkan dengan menggunakan bahan ajar yang digital. Dan ini sekali lagi sampelnya 17.000, jumlah risetnya 54 dan menggunakan sampel di 19 negara. Gitu. Memang mereka mengakui bahwa terjadi increase dalam e-learning dan digital material in education. Itu luar biasa itu ya, increase-nya luar biasa. Digital learning lalu e-learning itu terjadi increase. Bahkan increase-nya itu cenderung revolusioner gitu. Tapi katanya print material itu must be outcome. Gitu. Membuat hasil belajar jauh lebih bagus ya. Tidak hanya di situ, tapi dalam kerangka sensory experience itu printed material itu jauh lebih hebat efeknya. Saya tidak bermaksud anti elektronik ya, tidak bermaksud anti media digital. Tapi kalau riset ini jadikan ukuran, maka penggunaan bahan ajar elektronik itu mestinya untuk sementara tidak bisa dianggap sebagai mainstream. Gitu. Dikatakan di sini bahwa siswa yang membaca printed material itu mempunyai memori yang bagus, dikaitkan dengan bagaimana dia merecreate, merekayasa ulang struktur teks, dan itu dengan screen reader, dia membaca dengan screen itu posisinya jauh lebih hebat dibandingkan dengan, maksud saya membaca screen itu lebih lemah kapasitasnya dalam kerangka membangun memori dibandingkan dengan membaca teks tertulis. Gitu. Jadi Bapak dan Ibu, membaca teks itu juga jauh lebih nyaman. Bahan itu sangat tidak efektif ketika mahasiswa itu berada di bawah tekanan. Yang dimaksud dengan di bawah tekanan itu, kalau besok dia mau ujian, malam ini dia akan membaca bahan ajar digital atau akan membaca bahan ajar teks, waktunya sangat singkat, itu membaca bahan ajar print out lebih hebat. Karena disebutkan di situ menggulir itu apa ya, teman, scroll. Bahan ajar memerlukan waktu lebih lama ketimbang membolak-balik bahan kertas. Oleh karena itu, adik-adik semua, para mahasiswa, kita tidak bisa menghindari bahan ajar digital. Tapi bahan ajar cetak itu mestinya tidak secara terus-menerus ditinggalkan. Saya kalau dulu bertas-tas bawa buku teks. Kalau sekarang ini dia. Anak saya yang di ITB dulu saya kritik, papa mau dulu 34 karung pulang sekolah itu bawa buku. Buku mau mana? Dia bilang di sini 5.000 lebih Pak gitu. Dan di buku di rumahnya nyaris nggak ada buku gitu. Tapi dia mengatakan memang ada. Gitu. Saya katanya kan saya beli buku teksnya, meskipun itu jauh lebih mahal. Jadi semua ini juga bahwa policy maker, para pembuat kebijakan itu harus take action to ensure that education does not decline at all level. Jadi mereka mengatakan bahwa pasca pandemi itu para pembuat kebijakan harus melakukan sesuatu yang akurat agar tidak terjadi decline ya, prestasi belajar, dan itu pemerintah harus menjadi bagian dari kartu garansi gitu. Karena itu maka student learning outcome in certain period will affect learning in subsequent development. Inilah yang disebut sebagai learning loss. Di Eropa itu terjadi kekhawatiran yang hebat sekarang ini. Dan pemerintah sedang berpikir sungguh-sungguh. Yang jadi korban salah seorang diantaranya adalah Perdana Menteri Inggris. Perdana Menteri Inggris sekarang itu adalah Perdana Inggris terpendek masa jabatannya sepanjang sejarah kerajaan Inggris. Karena apa? Dia tidak tahan, dia tidak sanggup untuk membawa Inggris keluar dari resesi, membawa Inggris keluar dari inflasi, membawa Inggris keluar dari fenomena sosial, politik, dan pendidikan. Jadi pandemi COVID ini juga sudah membawa korban juga. Mudah-mudahan Indonesia tidak mengalami. Oke, Bapak dan Ibu, memang online learning itu punya keunggulan, sekaligus punya kelemahan yang tidak akan saya bahas di sini. Ya, ada puluhan keunggulan dan juga ada puluhan kelemahan. Ya, tapi yang paling penting adalah all learners should be aware that learning is lifelong key sukses. Jadi pembelajaran sepanjang hayat yang disebut sebagai lifelong learning itu menjadi sebuah keniscayaan. Oh, karir individual, oh personal. Gitu. Ya, dan ini mengadvance baik secara personal maupun secara profesional. Karena itu praktek lifelong learning itu menjadi keniscayaan. Karena itu maka people can learn, apakah itu melalui virtual, melalui subjek online, anywhere and anytime. Ini juga keunggulan dari media online. Pertanyaannya adalah apakah itu menjadi bagian dari kesadaran atau bukan, atau belum. Oke, Bapak dan Ibu, ini adalah final notes. Ya, di masa depan itu apakah teacher, student, dan banyak lagi pihak terkait itu tidak perlu lagi berdebat pada strength atau weaknesses. Setuju atau tidak setuju, agree or agree dengan masivitas online learning ini. Karena ini adalah fakta sejarah, ya. Siswa itu harus mampu mentransformasi keluar dari rutinitas, keluar dari kotak yang selama ini mengungkung, yang disebut sebagai transform mental attitude, ya, untuk lebih familiar terhadap online learning, gitu. Karena ini menjadi istilahnya unavoidable reality, realitas yang tidak bisa dihindari oleh siapapun. Karena itu maka reformasi kebijakan itu harus berekspansi untuk bagaimana membangun networks, terutama jaringan internet, ya, untuk profession hardware and software, dan quality control. Quality control online ini di Amerika juga merepotkan. Sebagian besar negara bagian dan sebagian besar dunia kerja itu tidak mau kontrak perjanjian dengan institusi yang secara penuh menyelenggarakan online untuk memanfaatkan outputnya. Jadi negara-negara bagian di Amerika dan dunia kerja itu kebanyakan tidak mau membuat kontrak perjanjian akan menggunakan output lulusan institusi yang murni dengan pembelajaran online. Alasannya adalah mereka tidak bisa menemukan bagaimana sistem pengendalian mutu pembelajaran online itu. Nah, kita juga sama. Di kita ini memang di kelas itu kita masih menemukan mahasiswa yang titip daftar hadir. Kalau dulu manual. Tapi di online juga kira-kira setengahnya tutup layar. Jangan-jangan sambil berbaring gitu. Ini gejalanya ini gitu, udah diantisipasi gitu. Karena itu maka hal ini membawa apa yang disebut sebagai serious implication. that must be follow up di kemudian hari. Bapak dan Ibu, itu yang bisa saya presentasikan, mudah-mudahan menjadi bahan diskusi. Terima kasih. Siapa namanya? Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for Professor Sudarwan Danim. Your presentation is very excellent. And please, if there are any question, Professor Sudarwan. Okay, I will type in the chat box. Okay, please, Mr. Zahruddin Horsey, boleh menyampaikan pertanyaan dalam bahasa Indonesia? Boleh, silakan.
Baik, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Mohon izin menyampaikan pertanyaan dalam bahasa Indonesia, Bapak Ibu. Menarik sekali apa yang disampaikan oleh Prof. Sudarwan tadi. Saya mencatat beberapa keyword ya. Ada beberapa persamaan yang saya alami, Prof ya. Persis ketika saya pertama share pengalaman ketika mengantar anak kuliah di Elektro ITB 3 tahun lalu. Sebagai orang tua, saya pengen membelikan buku-buku yang dibutuhkan dan printer gitu kan. Tapi ternyata ditolak, kata anak saya, di ITB nggak perlu printer, Abi katanya. Di ITB nggak perlu buku-buku, semua kami bergerak dalam bentuk paperless katanya. Dan dari situ barangkali luar biasa juga, sangat efektif, efisien pemanfaatan digital pembelajaran di kampus ya. Nah itu yang betul sekali ada efektivitas dan efisiensi pembelajaran dalam konteks untuk mahasiswa maupun dosen ya dalam digitalisasi ini. Yang kedua, mohon tanggapannya, Prof, barangkali yang lain juga. Saya pernah pasca COVID melakukan riset kecil-kecilan dengan 1.000 lebih mahasiswa di Sumatera Selatan by Google Form ya, baik yang negeri swasta, vokasi, D3, S1, S2, tentang bagaimana pembelajaran COVID ini ya, medianya, hasilnya. Ternyata saya mendapatkan data secara akademik, ternyata dari yang saya kumpulkan average-nya, rata-ratanya, hasil belajar mahasiswa yang kuliah IPK-nya pra dan pasca COVID itu ternyata dari riset kecil saya itu lebih banyak yang jatuh nilai dengan belajar online gitu kan. Saya juga termasuk ketika confirm ke anak saya yang di ITB itu, gimana Kak nilai-nilai mahasiswa ITB ketika IPK-nya kuliah online berapa semester ini? Wah, Abi, mahasiswa kami rata-rata jatuh juga nilai-nilai, katanya banyak juga dapat C gitu kan dengan online ini. Padahal dulu ketika offline nilainya bagus-bagus, abi-abi. Itu sekelas ITB katakanlah ya. Apalagi barangkali pembelajaran digital, media maupun material yang di daerah-daerah yang tidak support sistemnya. Itu salah satu dampak yang kita rasakan. Nah, boleh di komen ulang, Prof, kira-kira model pembelajaran dengan digital ini, baik material maupun media, di mana kita mensiasatinya ke era berikutnya, karena memang kita sebagai lecturer ini mengalami kesulitan juga sih sebenarnya, tidak hanya masalah teknis, jaringan, segala macam, secara kemampuan mahasiswa yang kita ajar juga agak banyak kendala gitu kan, termasuk hasil yang kita dapatkan juga, bolehlah kalau dikatakan kok agak lebih mudah anak-anak ini, apalagi diajar mata kuliah yang menghitung gitu ya, atau praktikum, lebih mudah cara dan hasil outputnya dengan dilakukan secara offline gitu kan, dengan tetap memanfaatkan digital di bidang edukasi ini. Terima kasih Prof. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dipersilakan Prof.
Okay, thank you very much. Different campus is different academic atmosphere. Anak-anak ITB itu beda dengan banyak perguruan tinggi lain. Anak Bapak sekarang di semester berapa di ITB?
Anak saya di elektro semester 7 sekarang, Prof.
Tanya dengan Bapak, kapan dia lulus? Dia akan jawab itu. Tanya aja, Pak. Anak ITB itu kalau 10 orang gitu ditemui, dia semester 4, kapan dia akan wisuda? 9 akan jawab bulannya dan persis. Tanya Bapak, anak Bapak. Gitu. Karena anak saya dua-duanya di ITB. Dulu anak saya semester 4 yang di elektro, saya tanya, kapan Dek wisuda? Dia bilang bulan Mei atau bulan Juli. Gitu. Di sebelahnya itu anak elektro, anak guru dari Jogja. Saya tanya, seangkatan nggak dengan Faza? Nama saya Faza. Seangkatan Om katanya. Kapan kamu wisuda? Bulan sekian dia bilang. Tapi dia mengatakan kami kira-kira 3 bulan lebih awal dibandingkan dengan Mas Faza. Karena Mas Faza itu setelah nyatakan lulus magang dulu baru wisuda. Kami boleh langsung. Dua-duanya benar. Saya pindah lagi ke kosan berikutnya, saya tanya. Anak semester 4 semua itu, jawab semua Pak. Jadi memang anak ITB itu saya tidak maksud membandingkan dengan yang lain ya, tapi khusus untuk anak ITB, saya tidak tahu di perguruan tinggi lain. Dia udah bisa jawab. Di banyak perguruan tinggi dia udah seminar proposal, saya tanya kapan wisuda, dicoba Pak katanya, gitu. Padahal dia udah seminar proposal gitu loh. Nah, ini, jadi memang masing-masing kampus itu punya special spirit, termasuk juga bagaimana para mahasiswa itu punya persepsi terhadap teaching and learning process in his campus. Nah, pembelajaran online ini memang menjadi sebuah keniscayaan. Yang dipersoalkan oleh Instagram itu bagaimana menyelamatkan anak-anak itu yang berada pada masa transisi. Itu yang dipersoalkan oleh Instagram di Eropa itu. Mengubah mindset dari pola penggunaan buku ke pola penggunaan media digital itu tidak hanya pada level pribadi, tapi juga pada level komunitas. Dan tidak hanya pada level komunitas, tapi pada kapasitas yang bersangkutan untuk mentransform. Karena yang paling sulit sebetulnya mengubah mindset itu, terutama bagi orang-orang yang imigran digital. Kalau yang natif digital mungkin agak lebih mudah karena dia sejak kecil sudah mengenal media digital. Tapi yang imigran itu sangat mungkin mengalami pelambatan. Saya tidak tahu dosen lain, juga tidak tahu cara mahasiswa. Tapi saya sejak di era digital ini semua bahan saya tulis, mata kuliah apapun. Ya konsekuensinya karena menyusun bahan itu juga perlu energi, ya saya juga minta bantu dengan mahasiswa biaya pembuatannya. Tapi tidak ada satu mata kuliah pun saya tidak punya bahan. Saya tulis dalam bentuk buku yang sangat lengkap meskipun untuk dipersiapkan jadi penerbit itu atau memperoleh SBN itu saya masih perlu kira-kira bervisi 2 atau 3 kali. Saya kira ini juga kalau anak-anak itu ada yang audio, ada yang visual, ada yang audio visual, maka sangat mungkin juga sebagian diantaranya itu lebih senang bahan digital ketimbang bahan tertulis, bisa jadi. Tapi kalau prestasi anak-anak ini lewat online itu cenderung mengalami decrease, itu bisa jadi juga. Karena memang tidak semua substansi material itu bisa di-create melalui media daring. Karena itu ke depan itu komprominya mestinya paling tidak hybrid. Memang di S3 misalnya juga ada kesulitan. Saya mengalami 2 angkatan ini banyak anak S3 di sini. 2 angkatan ini kelihatannya mereka ini mendaftar untuk S3 itu dalam tafsir daring, kelihatannya. Karena itu membawanya ke kampus itu agak sulit. Gitu. Beda dengan angkatan-angkatan dulu yang memang ketika dia mendaftar, dia mengatakan saya akan tatap muka, sehingga medan psikologisnya itu agak sedikit berbeda dengan yang 2 angkatan terakhir gitu. Dalam mindsetnya itu cenderung ke arah online learning atau paling tidak hybrid begitu. Saya kira seperti itu, Pak.
Oke, terima kasih, Prof.
Thank you very much, Professor Sudarwan and Mr. Zahruddin. For all the participants, any question? Is there any question?
Cukup, Mbak. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum.
Oke, terima kasih. Okay, I will give the conclusion. I think from Professor Sudarwan's explanation, we can conclude that there is an effect of pedagogy during the COVID-19 pandemic on student empowerment. The result is that digital learning has a lot of impacts and is not good solution in the teaching and learning process. And of course, we are all working on how to build network both hard and software and security in the learning process, and the government is the guarantor of this problem, right, Professor?
Okay.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for all the participants. Thank you very much for Professor Novianti Jafri and Professor Sudarwan Daning to in this Zoom. And the next, any question? Yes, please raise your hand.
Okay.
One question.
Okay.
Izin bertanya Pak, kita kembali pada kemarin itu kami buka pembelajaran yang ada sesi 2 ya Pak ya. Nah, itu mengatakan bahwa ada bahan digital Pak.
Izin bertanya Pak.
Dari bahan digital dengan pada keadaan pada sekarang. Baik, terima kasih.
Oke, saya share lagi ya kalau gitu ya. Itu saya close. Advantage of digital material learning ya. Ini ada advantage dan ada disadvantage. online classes are convenient, nyaman, gitu ya. Orang santai kayak gini bisa sambil tidur gitu, ya. Kelas fleksibel, gitu. Depend on ruang macam ini begitu ya. Lalu more affordable, cost, more interaction. Yang saya alami di kelas digital ini, di kelas online itu masih lebih ekspresif, lebih berani mengungkapkan karena dia individual. Semangat belajarnya jauh lebih hebat dibandingkan dengan dia bersama-sama di luar kelas gitu. Ya. Lalu more learning opportunity. Kita bisa belajar kapan saja dan di mana saja. Termasuk juga save time and money. Jadi hemat. Gitu. Meskipun bagian juga menghitung pulsa, menghitung memori, lalu cost efektif, ya, personalized learning, and environmental friendly, nyaman dengan lingkungan. Sebetulnya kalau yang saya persoalkan bukan di sini. Yang saya persoalkan kalau saya itu transmisi dari kebiasaan lama ke kebiasaan baru. Contoh. Di era saya, guru boleh memukul siswa, boleh berkewer, boleh nyuruh siswa itu duduk di bawah. Gitu. Tapi ketika nilai-nilai humanistik itu berkembang, gitu, maka hampir semua negara melarangnya. Guru tidak lagi berkata kasar, guru tidak boleh lagi menjewel, guru tidak lagi boleh menghukum anak di bawah, tidak boleh menghukum anak berdiri di kelas ketika belajar. Semua orang tahu itu. Tapi yang sulit adalah bagaimana guru menertibkan siswa dari cara menghukum secara fisik, katakanlah begitu, tidak boleh menghukum. Itu yang sulit. Gitu. Apakah ada kebiasaan mental semacam itu? Sama juga dengan orang yang sering ibadah haji, yang sudah 20 tahun, 60 tahun, biasa dengan makanan Indonesia. Tiba-tiba di Saudi Arabia harus menggunakan makanan dengan rasa Saudi Arabia. Itu 42 hari di Saudi Arabia belum tentu bisa menyesuaikan diri. Dulu saya di hotel dalam sampai terbakar karena mak-mak itu pada mau masak. Dia selalu rindu dengan masakan Indonesia. Solusi yang paling saya sarankan adalah bagaimana kita transform mindset, ya, from face-to-face learning to online learning. It is not easy, tidak terlalu mudah untuk dilakukan. Tapi juga sulit bagi mahasiswa yang punya adaptabilitas untuk mentransformasi pola ke pola baru. Saya kira itu. Kasih.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor. Is there any question? Yes, please. Please raise your hand and stand up.
Ini pembelajaran kita yang sangat menarik untuk bagi Pak namun bagaimana untuk yang fungsinya itu betul banget dan kita mengatasi masalah seperti ini. Terima kasih.
Baik, sebetulnya praktek-praktek pembelajaran untuk orang-orang yang di remote area itu sudah dirasakan sejak sebelum perdagangan Masehi. Kira-kira 430 tahun sebelum Masehi ada seorang namanya Protagoras, bukan Pitagoras ya. Protagoras itu kawannya Georgias. Kerjanya itu mengunjungi komunitas yang tidak terakses dengan institusi pendidikan. Pertanyaan saya adalah, apakah kita bisa melakukan juga praktek-praktek semacam itu, semacam pengunjung? Dan kalau menurut saya, di daerah-daerah yang extractly remote itu ya, yang betul-betul itu, nyaris tidak terjangkau oleh pandemi COVID. Bahkan di skala negara, di Samudra Pasifik itu ada negara namanya Vanuatu. Itu negara kecil sekali. Dan sepanjang sejarah COVID terdeteksi hanya satu orang yang COVID di negara kepulauan Vanuatu. Itu pun dia baru pulang dari Filipina. Dan diduga dari Filipina itulah yang membuat dia ini. Gitu. Jadi negara Vanuatu itu yang saya tangkap itu hanya satu. Pertanyaan saya adalah, apakah di daerah-daerah yang benar-benar remote area itu sekolah akan ditutup atau tidak? Gitu. Kalau saya boleh memilih, jangan ditutup di sekolah yang remote area itu, jangan sentuhan itu. Dan dari segi pendidikan itu resiko menular satu sisi dan dari bisa lain itu jauh lebih besar ketimbang tatap muka sekolah. Memang diharapkan anak-anak yang dari remote area itu bisa berinteraksi secara tempat yang diakses. Tapi kalau dia berinteraksi malah dia bersentuhan dengan komunitas dalam jumlah besar. Tapi kita ini kan biasanya satu kebijakan itu untuk semua, gitu. Sehingga dianggap sebagai uang fix all, satu itu dianggap fix untuk semua. Lalu saya ini memang bukan pertimbangan yang cukup serius. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor. I think it's enough the question for this session. I think our conclusion in this presentation is we can conclude that there is an effect of pedagogy during the COVID-19 pandemic on student empowerment. The result is that digital learning has a lot of impact and is not good solution in the teaching and learning process. And of course, we are all working on how to build networks, both hard and software and security, of course, in the learning process. And the government is the guarantor of this problem, right, Professor? Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Novianti Jafri and Professor Sudarwan Danim for joining with us. And the next session was moderated by my colleague is Mr. Yupika Mariansah, MPD. This time is yours. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Fitri Prof, angkatan 7.
Iya, cantiknya bukan dilupakan.
Ibi Profesor. Ngebantu Prof, angkatan 6.
Mohon PPT-nya bisa di-share, Ibu Panitia, linknya. PPT-nya Pak Prof.
Cek. Okay. For the audience, would you like to wait for a moment because the center is not here yet? Check. Test, test. Test. Okay. Sudah mulai bicara dah. Oke, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, we are going to carry on our sessions, presentation, plenary session 5 and 6, which Associate Professor Ahmad G. Obaid and Ahmed Elnger. Yeah, I'm sorry if there is mispronounced from me. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am Yupika Marian Shah, the moderator today for this session, for the last two sessions. I'm very glad to see you here and welcome all of you to this seminar. This seminar for the first sessions or plenary sessions 5 will be presented by Associate Professor Ahmed G. Obaid. Ahmed G. Obaid is associate professor at Department of Computer Science, Faculty of Computer Science and Mathematics, University of Kufa, Iraq, and he holds a Bachelor of Computer Science degree in Information Systems from College of Computer, University of Anbar, Iraq. His work yeah, he has done so many works on the field. And then because we have our time, I would like to explain the rules of our seminar today. First, the presenters will present his work for about 20 minutes, and then afterward, we are going to come to the Q&A session for about 10 minutes. Okay. I would like to welcome Mr. Obaid to present his work. Mr. Obaid, hello. Hello, sir. Please mute.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Okay, Mr. Obaid, the time is yours for 20 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank all the organizing committee and special thanks to my friends, Dr. Muthammina, for her kind invitations. So today I will talk about one topic, and I hope this topic will be useful to participants in this conference. So my topics will highlight some information about the publication challenge, uh, and we'll talk about the fake publishers and publication, how to detect them, maybe some criteria to detect them. I would like to also clarify that this way is very difficult. Even me, we are sometime publishing journals, and later we are now in that journals, it's fake journal. So really, it is very difficult. I'm also published some research work by mistake in bad journals, but this is not my mistakes, because some situations depends on the Scopus, and some situation depends on Web of Science archiving list. So based on them, we are doing this mistake. So let us talk about this. Actually, we will talk about the publication process, which consider a little bit hardly to be published in maybe in good or reputed journals. So let us define one topic. It's called predatory journals or predatory publishers. Predatory journals means there is no peer review, and there is no ethics for accepting or reviewing the papers. So means most of the papers has been accepted by intermediary persons, and they called about, these journals as a predatory, or the publisher as a predatory publisher. So this meanings it comes by Jeffrey Bulls, who is a UK librarian, and he defined these topics at 2005 to classify the journals based on their acceptance criteria. He, at the beginning, he was established a new and freely documentation about the journals that follow these kinds of behavior, and the publisher who accept the papers without peer review statements. And later that subjects is got very much interest from the world scientific institutes and organization, because he given very scientific rules to evaluate the process of these publishers or journals. So on his website, he defined very good and very useful links. The links for Hajgit journals means in that link we will find the duplicated journals that already covered the information from original journal. And the second is for journals that consider as a predatory journals, and maybe we can find there a list of thousands journals already listed in his list. The third one is the publishers, means the publisher can have more than one journal, and maybe he consider that publisher because most of the journals in that publisher follow unethical rules. So let us go for another website which also has been updated by him, and it's called Bell List also. And there we can find that when that journal and has been added to the list of predatory with the help of Jeffrey Bell team. So by go to the situation and how these journals could be added to the blacklist. The first situation is depends on the favorable analysis, and the second situation depends on the academic and research center, and the third situation about the individual users, and the fourth based on the governments. For academic research center, sometimes academics, they have seen their papers or most of their papers published in single journals. So they feel that journals or publishers do not follow critical rules or ethical rules, because Scopus do not allow for journals to publish more than 4 to 5 papers belongs to the same country. This is the general rules. For individual users, maybe someone knows that journals and he feels that journals do not follow and he made compliance, and the government, based on the payments statements, they have seen all the payments has paid to the certain country or to a certain journal or certain partner. So they will made a compliant or they will list that journal in the blacklist. So by compare his compare his blogs or websites, we can find there is a complement information. Someone can contact him and also send the details of any particular journal to him. He will evaluate the request and maybe they add or cancel the request that made by others. So the history of that bill list, it was established in 2005 and 6, but it was activated on the websites or on the internet by 2011, and from that time the list has been increased very much, and now it's include maybe more than 4 to 5 thousand publishers and journals, and most of these journals and publishers are considered not reputed journals or publishers. So here there are some comments from famous peoples who are seen that blogs and maybe given their feedback. Also, there are very much numbers of times that hackers try to hack it his websites or links because of the information has been included there, because so many publishers and journals lost their customers because of his blogs and list. So let us take one example to identify the information that given in previous slides. When you compare these journals, you will find everything is correct in both websites, but you cannot detect which journal is origin and which journal is fake one. So when you are browsing on Simago or Scobus, you will not find useful information other than the links of Scobus or Simago to that journal. So let us consider one example. Okay, I'm just change my place for 1 minute because of the sounds of my peers here. So when you compare both websites, you will find the two websites are published so many papers from many countries. So the situation here, let us go for Scopus and check if the Scopus consider a very reputed information about these journals. So when we are pressed on the link on Scopus, we will visit one journal, but when we are go to the Simago, we will visit another journal. So most of the others, what they are doing, they are call Scopus support center to know which journal is origin to publish their papers there. So here I'm just explain how to visit the journal homepage to be sure that journal has been identified by Scopus and Simago. And here we can find the journals here in the Scopus review and here in Simago. So for Scopus review, when you are pressed on their links here, when you are pressed on their links here, you will visit this journal, the other journal. But when you ask them, they said, you just imagine that to be very clear. We have two websites for that journal. Okay, so this journal, when you are pressed on the link of Scopus, you will visit this one. Okay, but when you yes, but when you ask them, they are document this one. So now we want to check what happens to them. why the information about this journal has been different, and indexation in both websites are different. So when we are press here, what we are visit, we are visit this one and everything fine. But when we are messaging to the support center, Scopus supports team, they are send us different links to other journal. So really, this kinds of situation very tough and very difficult to identify the journals because of most of the Scopus team also. We can't divide them. Some of them maybe they are cooperated with the fake journals because of the money, and some maybe they don't have experience on that field. Why? Because you just imagine that in the previous in the next slide, what is the situation? I will inform you. Here, when you are messaging to them, please customer care, I am finding two journals, and in Simago there is a different link, and in your database a different link. When I call you, you are send me a link that different from your homepage. What is that? Why? What is the situation? What is the unique journal? And this journal have different names. They will only answer you, this journal has been indexed in our database, and the link of that journal is different from the link of this journal. And their answer, the link here for Nadia publisher, but the link here is for another publisher. So mostly, most of the Scopus team, they have not answered our question correctly because of this situation. So because of this, also I made a mistake. I am not a king of maybe urgent things, but I made the mistakes. I made a presentation to avoid other peoples to do the same mistake that made by me and a lot of others around the world. So let us go for another examples. Here, when we are searching about that journal in the predatory list, we cannot find also the journal there, but maybe we can find some publisher name in different characters in the predatory list. So this list, it will be useful to you to go forward and identify fake journals and publisher and avoid submit your paper there. So now most of the authors here, sorry, attendees here, they said uh, when we can or where we can publish our papers. Mostly all of them asked this question. Most of them, they are under the stress of their academic institutes and organizations, and maybe their supervisors, and mostly most of the attendees maybe from postgraduate level. So this is a very hard question. You can identify when I have to publish my papers. I will answer your questions in the last slide of this seminar. Will give you a solution when you have to publish your paper to be safe, from losing your money and everything else. So here in the list also we can find some other predatory maybe conference and predatory indexation like GOI and GOIAJ and most information available here. And here I'm just talking about Nadia publisher because here it was created in the last of related to the other publisher, and it was finally created on bill list, but in the late of 2019 after publishing a lot of papers. Now let us go for another examples. I already told you there are some useful information in bill list about other sources, and will give very good information about them. So because of the time, I am just trying to reduce the information in this presentation. Here we can go for this example and also check these journals. When you press on the both links in Simago and Scopus preview, you will visit this website and this journal itself. So everything is clear now. There is no dots. There is no any duplicated website for that journal. when you are searching on Google, when you are doing everything, you will find only single website, and that website has been linked to the Scopus and Simago. So now most of the authors feel that the journal is origin, and what they are doing, they are submit their papers to that journal and publish there. But finally, they are waiting 3, 4, 5 months. Most of them, they are messaging to the Scopus centers and asking for indexation of their papers. The Scopus, what they are doing, they are index their papers. So now the situation is okay. Okay, your paper has been indexed. Now you are feel happy. After 2 years, 1 year, your paper will be removed. The situation happened with me. Okay. Oh my God, what is the situation? Why my paper has been removed from the Scopus database? When you are called them, okay, we are sorry because that journal it was not origin journal. Really, the situation looked like this. This journal, it was indexed in both websites, and it is not a origin journal, and published most of the papers from different countries, and it was in ranked in quartile 2 and around 500 to 600 because it was published for 3 years without any mistakes from Scopus or another sources. After 3 years, it was removed from database and all the articles removed from Scopus also. So really, it is very bad situations when you are searching about this journal also on a predatory, you cannot find anything also. So millions of dollars has been lost from many others around the world, including me, when we are thinking this journal is reputed based on the sources databases. This also one example. Hello, my voice is clear, please, just for a small confirmation.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
We can hear.
very clear, sir.
So this example of also duplicated journal, it was indexed in Scopus and Simago, and after 1 year, it was removed, and the link it was linked to the other journal, and all the articles published in the previous one also not removed from the previous websites, and the authors cannot republish their papers because already published in fake websites. This situation made by hackers peoples. Also, when you are compared about them, all the information are same. So let us summarize these things and go for another examples. Here, one example of Chinese journal. This journal has published very much papers, around 1,000 papers from many others around the world, because both also links in Scopus and Simago. When you are pressed on their links, you will find this journal, and everything happy and everything, everything clear, and all the others happy to publish their papers in this journal. Later, after 1 year, all the links has been removed and changed to this journal. But no one asked Scopus and Simago why you are doing the mistakes to indexing. Actually, maybe I am thinking that maybe some persons from Scopus, they are already agreed with these journals. I'm sure by 80% about that. Why? Because that journals or those hackers got millions of dollars within 1 year. So I am index your journal for 1 year. You give me half of your benefits and the half for you. I'm think like that because the customer care already they are humans, and maybe some of them they are bad peoples. So this is lead to conclusion that Scopus customer care or Scopus company already change the customer care's members from time to time. They are fire out some peoples from them. But if you consider the situation, their salary may be 200, 300 in poor countries like some Western countries, and he doing them the same situation within maybe 10 to 15 journals. So by 1 year, he got $3-4 million because of the duplicated websites, and he fire out from that company and go to another company and start a new life with that money. I am sure, because I have very good and very close relation with some teams already working on some documentation centers, and they are already told me about this story. So anyway, here the compared points about the fake journals, and unfortunately that journal published around 1000 articles. The minimum cost for each article is 100 USD, so it's around $1 million only for this journal. You just imagine that how many journals that already created and put it in the same situation of wrong documentation. Here also one journal, but how can we identify? We can go for maybe other editorial board names, the contact informations, the about the journals, the number of indexed articles. All these metrics we can go to maybe to know in the journal if it is reviewed or not. But even that, here one example of in this seminar I'm just list about 10 journals examples, already duplicated 10 journals, already published more than 500 articles, already the cost of each journal around 200-300, and some journals reach to 500 USD. Even from poor countries, they are charging the same rate because it was Q2 and Q1, and later it was removed from database because of the Hajjit reasons. But no one denote the authors, no one give them or refund their money because of the situations. Because also, even the smartest one over the wars, he can made a mistakes because of this situation. So here, if we go to and calculate how many articles that this journal has published, you will find more than 300 articles by 450 USD. So I think the amounts reach to 1,200,000 USD already from single journal. You just imagine that most of the hackers, they are not made single journal, they are made 4, 5, 6. They are like a group of uh, hackers teams, and they are doing a black work to get money from others. This is another kinds of bad economics and black economics around the world. So here also one journals, maybe some fake journal, they are not provided the full access to your articles when you are pressed on the PDF of your articles. Also, this is when identified rules. Anyway, some intermediary also sharing news about the possible publication in some journals. Here I am just share with you a list of 32 journals. I am just collect the first 5 journals from that list that comes from UK persons, and also that person have a company of publication in UK. So I am checking this at the COVID-19 times. All these journals has been fake journals, and it was indexed in this Scopus, and later it was removed from database. So here one example also about the journal that published fake, and the here of the missing contact information in the contact as section. Also, some journals do not include editorial board because of the fake reasons. So also there are fake journals, they already mentioned that we are indexed and some other repositories, and by visiting the list you can find that if their journals are approved or not. So here there is some other journals they already created in the predatory because of the intermediary person, they are promote the journal over the Facebook, and fast publication services. And I think do not believe anyone, because I am reached to the decision in my life. I am not believe ever other than the list of journals that included in my seminar in the last slides. Why? Because maybe I have good relation with some friends. They are help me to publish the papers, but later I discovered that journal is fake. I'm not checking that journal. I am not checking that journal because I am believe of my friends. I think he is very smart and he will not cheat me. But later I discovered that journal it was fake journal. So really bad situation. I am lost my friends because of that, but I cannot rectify myself from that situations, because already my article three, I think 3 to 4 articles already published in fake journals. But I reached to decision I will never share my articles with anyone that give me a journal other than the list I provided in this seminar. So anyway, let us go forward to the other reputed journals also. And later we are discover that journal, it's hereditary or fake journal. Like this journal also, it's very reputed journal. And because of the reviewing situation, that journal considered as a hereditary journal. Also, some journals like these journals, they are indexed for 2 years in Scopus, and they are made very hard revision on your article also. Everything fine, submission system, everything is clear. But later, after 2 years and publish more than only from Iraq, 400 articles has been published by 400 USD, around 1,200,000 USD. It was collected from Iraq only. So later, after 1 year or 2 years, sorry, that journal has been removed from Scopus. Also, you will find the comments from the editor-in-chief of that journals. Anyway, the situation is very difficult to identify because this fake journal has been designed very clearly and very accurate. You cannot recognize that journal from other. And I am very lucky because I have at that time I have conference and agree with them. They
Excuse
are
me,
also indexed the paper center.
Mr. Obai.
Okay.
I would like to remind you about the time. Sorry.
Yes, I'm just finished within 1 minute.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the list of the most reputed article publishers. You can go for these publishers and publish your article safely. Why? Because these publishers cannot any hackers over the world to duplicate their websites. They are follow very accurate designs, and they are very design their websites very carefully. It's not possible to any hackers around the world to duplicate their websites. So I'm just consider most of these publisher to publish my papers for my own self, starting announced from 2021 because of my providence and because of my mistakes. I'm really lost 3 to 4 articles, very reputed articles, and it was published in a hereditary and fake journal because of my friends. So to conclude, this list of 68 publishers, you can go forward and publish your article safety without any opportunities to lose your papers and articles. And you also find that this publisher will follow very accurate rules. Go for IEEE conferences, go for AIB conferences, go for IOB conferences, go for Springer conferences if you feel that situation is difficult for you. At the end of this seminar, thank you for the listening. I'm sorry if I am take some extra time from the schedule of this conference. And thanks again for the organizing committee, for the attendees, for everyone who share and participate who share the knowledge and participate in this event, and wishing to all of you the best of luck for this event. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Obai. Very informative and interesting presentation. It talks about fake journal, and it's very important for academics specifically and for general people who would like to publish their. Okay, we come to the Q&A sessions. For those who would like to answer some question, please, uh, you can either type on the text box or raise your hand, please. Yeah, yeah, we have one attendee here.
Kok besar banget. Okay, thank you for your presentation, for great presentation, Mr. Ahmed. This is from the story of my friend who has been in touch with this predatory journal in truly sad and disappointing. So many journal, as we know, that so many journal that include predators. Okay,
Hello?
thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
I'm just hear you now. Yeah.
I'm so interested with your presentation, Mr. Ahmed.
Thank you.
So great and so excellent, I think. This is from the story of my friend who has been in touch with this predatory journal in truly sad and disappointing. So many journals that include predators. My question is, how do we and our concise strategies avoid predatory journal that are very detrimental and disappointing to our scientific research and publication? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So actually the answer of this question is very long, but to summarize the answers, you have to visit the websites of the journal, check the editorial board information, check the indexation of the journal, check the contact information of the journal. It's better to go for the reputed list. I have already listed because this is from UNESCO. It's not from my side. It's from UNESCO, like organization. They are list the most reputed publishers on the world, and better to go for 68 publishers and select any journal from that publisher. You will be safe. I think for postgraduate students, because of their research work, maybe it's not look like a quality to other high quality journals. It's better to go for conference series like Springer, IEEE, AIB, because these publisher can serve you much better than other publisher. Maybe later you will be find their publisher as a fake or predatory publisher.
Okay, thank you for your answer, Mr. Ahmed.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the answer, Mr. White. Maybe we will invite one more questions, either from on Zoom or audience here. Any more questions? Okay. Okay. I think this is will be the end of our discussion, Mr. Obed.
Thank you.
I'm so sad because the time is very limited. Maybe next time we will
Yeah, thank
continue
you.
the
Thank you. All the
more
best, sir.
detail.
All the best. All the
Okay.
best.
Okay, I would like to conclude the presentations for the moment. Um, the baselines of the presentation is uh, Mr. Obai talked about characteristics of fake or predatory journal and how to avoid it. Even some lists has been shown by Mr. Obai. A good journal. Okay. Thank you very much for Mr. Obai. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wassalam. Thank you.
Bisa aja. Kalau kita untuk audiens di Zoom, mohon bersabar ya. Untuk sementara sudah sedang dihubungi presenternya, cuman berdering belum diangkat. Mohon bersabar ya. Oke. Sekitar 10 menit ditunggu. Kalau tidak, cancel. Cancel. Oke. Audien yang terhormat, kami beritahukan bahwa untuk Mr. Ahmed Elngar itu di cancel untuk sementara ya. Nanti ada alternatif dari panitia, mungkin kita minta beliau untuk membuat video atau sejenisnya. Yang jelas akan ada presentasinya gitu ya. Untuk sekarang kita off dulu. Isoma apa ya? Iya, kembalikan ke moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ke panitia, sorry.
Masuk. Masuk. Okay. Thank you for all the speakers and Mr. Rian as a moderator. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we have a break time before we are going to continue to the next agenda. You have a break time for now, and we have to back to this hall at 1 p.m. o'clock. Thank you.